Chag Sukkot Samyak. That's more like it. Chag Sukkot Samyak. That's how we're gonna be playing when we marching into the new kingdom, y'all. That's how we're gonna be rocking. Let me go on and sit down underneath the tabernacle. Chag Sukkot Sameach. Chag Sukkot Sameach. How's everybody doing on this Sukkot, the first day of Sukkot, the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles? That was my celebration song, royal celebration song. As y'all see, I was able to finish our very first tabernacle. It smells good too. I know why the Most High commanded us, instructed us to use the pine for roofing because it smells good. You sit under it, especially if you've been on a long journey and might be in the middle of the wilderness and ain't been able to take no shower and no bath, if you know what I'm saying. You don't want to be stinking and musty around everybody else who you got to sleep around. And if you is stinky and musty, well then you got some natural air freshener to kind of take over the smell. And that's something that I realized yesterday working as hard as me and the boys was working and then getting up here and smelling the pine. We was like, we get it now. The pine is for everybody that be getting musty and everybody that be, how black folk, we be smelling like onions when we get musty. We smell like a bunch of onions, fresh cut onions. So you be like, hey, so now it's the onion smell mixed with the pine. Not today, obviously, but yesterday we working hard, and that's what we realized. So look, I hope everybody doing well today. Look, it's been a totally blessed time. It's been a totally blessed time. Um, this was placed on my heart to do and share with y'all because I realize there's so many of us that would like to be out of that Babylon system, would like to be away, would like to be in the wilderness, would like to be someplace where you can observe the holy days of the Most High without hindrance to the best of your abilities. I know that there are many who want to observe the holy days outside of the city, you know, and we do the best that we can do, especially in our captivity right now. Chag Sukkot Sameach. Chag Sukkot Sameach. All right, that means happy Feast of Tabernacles. Okay. I know many of us want to do what we can do as far as observing these days because it's important to us in our walk, in our car. I totally get it, and that's why it was placed on my heart to see what I could do to help that. So, as y'all tap in with me on this live stream, it's like y'all will be here with me. Y'all will be here with me, um, sitting in the tabernacle too. We're gonna keep it rocking and rolling. It's a warm day today. Like right now it's warm, but as you see, the wind is kicking up. The wind is breezy today, but it's still warm, which is interesting. And I'm hoping that everything is sturdy and staying strong. It looked like it is. And we gonna keep it rocking and rolling. Remember, y'all, this is our first tabernacle that we've built. And it's the first tabernacle that we've not only built, but that we built live streaming too. So y'all got to see all the different obstacles we had to go through in order to get it up. Y'all got to see the focus. Y'all got to see the drive. Y'all got to see um, the different steps involved with it. The only steps y'all didn't see was when we actually gathered the wood. Leading up to this, These pole beams right here. Leading up to this, I was praying out back where the crops are, and I was asking the Most High to please guide me across this land and show me what trees needed to be cut down. I've never cut a tree down before, and not a tree of any stature, with a long trunk, a big trunk. And so I was nervous to do that because I I know I'm from California and everything. They got a thing called tree huggers and stuff out there, but I got a thing for trees. Trees are very special to me. I know as we breathe in oxygen and then breathe out carbon dioxide, trees and then breathe out oxygen. So it's a push pull, it's a give and take relationship. And I always hear about people not having enough trees. Listen, every corner that I'm looking at right now, I see trees. And what's so interesting about the time that we're in is that the tree leaves are actually turning. These were all green just a couple weeks ago, and now they're all turning an orangish brown, an amber color. And it's a beautiful sight, and they're giving off all of these smells, and the oxygen is real clean. Okay, I'm not dealing with no smog or nothing crazy like that. But the point is, I had an issue within myself and with the trees on who to cut down. So I prayed about this, and then one day I went out and I saw these trees knocked down, and I looked toward the trunk of the tree, and they was all gnawed up. They was bitten all up, and I said, "What?" Turned out the beavers then came out here. We got a beaver clan out here, beaver family comes out here, and the beavers are very, very adept at knowing what tree to cut down. They have some sort of sensor. I don't know if science has figured this out yet, but the beavers definitely know what trees need to be cut down. I'm pretty sure they can sense and smell what tree might be sick, what tree might be old, ready to come down. Whatever the case, I went back behind my home, and there was about 12 to 13 or 14, maybe even 15 trees, anywhere from 3.5, 4 inches in diameter, all the way to about 8, 9 inches in diameter that had been gnawed down and cut down, knocked down, timber. And so I didn't have to decide what tree I was gonna cut because they was already chopped down. Ain't that something, y'all? And I also was worried about cutting them down for firewood for the winter because I want to light the fireplace up. I want to keep the house warm that way, and save on electricity bills and all of that if we can, you know what I mean? So why not use the fireplace? So I wanted to get that in. I wanted to do that, but once again, I didn't know what trees to cut down. And so now I don't have to worry about that. I got plenty of firewood for this winter, which is a blessing. Now I'm over here looking at the cows, and they way over yonder, over there. So if they come up walking up on me, y'all, uh, don't worry about them. They okay. But I hope everybody's doing well. I know that it's a Monday, and I know that a lot of folks is at work today. A lot of folks is just gonna be getting off soon. And of course, as always, you can tap back in with this live stream, and you'll be able to follow along with the festivities that way. One of the things about Sukkot, about the Feast of Tabernacles, is that it's an 8-day event, and it's an event that causes us to remember what our ancestors and ancestresses went through in order to get out of Kemet, out of Egypt, at a time when it was overran by a level of wickedness toward the Hebrew Israelites. Starting back in Moses' day, uh, there was a decree set out to kill all the babies, all the baby boy, Hebrew boys, Israelite boys of 2 years old and younger. And these baby boys were killed. They were slaughtered off. Moses was one of those who were spared. And as Moses was adopted into the Egyptian or Kemetic lifestyle, he was taken in. He was taken in as a baby boy, and he was actually taken in by Pharaoh's daughter at that time, and she took him in, but she wasn't lactating, okay, because she didn't have a child of her own. So she needed somebody to whelp or to feed Moses breast milk while he was still a child, still an infant. And the Most High set it up to where Moses' own mama was able to step in and fill that place. So not only was Moses' life spared, but he was also given the milk that he was genetically and biologically supposed to have. I don't know if y'all know this, but every time a woman is in gestation, her body goes through many changes, which y'all might know. But what you might not know is that a woman's biological changes also include that of the type of milk she's going to produce for that child. Each child that she has receives a special formula, a special allotment of milk that goes with the gestation of said child, the biology of the mother and child at that time. So when that child's born, that child gets a customized formula of milk directly from mama. And that formula changes slightly or more drastically depending on what the child needs while it's in the womb. And so Moses was blessed to be able to get the milk of his mother's womb or his mother's breast while he was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. Now, of course, we know the story of how he was raised uh, as an Egyptian and how he was raised in the courtyards and in the halls of the Egyptian royal temples and palaces, and how he was trained as a Kemetic young man, and how he was reared up to think Egyptian, to think like an Egyptian. And one of the things that are significant about this whole Feast of Tabernacles is that that generation of Israelites by that time knew they were Israelites and knew they were of the tribes of Israel, but the tribes of Israel became great in number in the land of Egypt, not in a land of their own or a land of our own. I only say there for the context of the time period. And so when we realize that you have one group of so-called black folk who have been living in an area pretty much since the beginning of time. Then you have another set of black folk who moved into the area and grew in number. You start to see this dynamic where cultures were still being identified, so much so to the point that higher ups, the elites of Kemetic society, felt it necessary to begin segregating and to begin doing away with the Hebrew Israelite communities that were building out of fear that one day the Hebrew Israelite community would grow so great in number that it would overtake the indigenous allotment of those of Kemet. And so we see this narrative beginning to formulate where not only were the elites worried about the growing number of Israelites that were taking place in that time, but the Israelites were also detached from any sort of Israelite custom, meaning that most of the Israelites were living as Egyptians themselves. And so when Moses was requested and hired, if I may, to go back into Kemet after he was kicked out around the age of 40 years old, he was rather perplexed by the task that was before him. He was perplexed by the task because he knew that the majority of Israelites were still thinking as though they were Egyptian. He himself was thinking as an Egyptian. And it wasn't until he was around the age of 80 or so that he went back and was asked to go back into Kemet. Okay, so we're talking about a very fit man here, a very strong man physically, who was able to go back to a place that he was uh, communicated from, a place that he was banned from at the age of 40. But he went back at the age of 80, almost 40 years later. And so see the dynamic that Moses had to, or the job that he had to undertake, as well as the dynamic of the consideration that most of the people of that generation were Egypt thinking people. Egypt customized or customarily Egyptian. He knew he had a task before him and he was reluctant to go. That's why his brother, his older brother Aaron, was hired to go along with him and his sister Miriam. Now, when you think about the task before them, they definitely needed some help. They needed some supernatural help because at the time, people of Kemet were very supernatural themselves. There was a lot of magic. There were a lot of supernatural abilities that were awakened. You know, Yahshua himself went to Kemet multiple times as he was growing up to learn the different secrets, the different metaphysical secrets, the different supernatural secrets that one could participate in order to um, utilize a different set of spiritual power that is within a person. And so, Kemet has always been a place of refuge for Hebrew Israelite people. And I want to make the designation there's this misnomer that the Most High hated Kemet, and I don't agree with that misnomer at all. Um, Kemet had always, like I said, been a place of refuge, a place to go, a place to recharge, a place to reset, a place to gather oneself or one's people. In this case, Yosef was sold into captivity by his older brothers, who were the original sons of Israel. And they did this not knowing what he would become one day. Joseph began to be elevated in Kemet. He was propositioned to sleep with one of the general's wives, the general who purchased him as a servant. His wife really was fond of Joseph. And Joseph said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sleep with you." And the general found out about this and also found out about Joseph's ability to prophesy through vision and dreams. Pharaoh had a serious set of dreams, and Joseph was called upon to interpret those dreams, which he did successfully. That successful interpretation of the dream elevated Joseph to pretty much second in command in all of Kemet. And that positioned Joseph to then be able to help people, especially those of his own kindred, which included his father, his mother, and his father's wives, and his father's other children, and his nephews and nieces at the time, and grandnephews and grandnieces. So Joseph was in a high position, and it is Joseph's original position in Kemet that eventually caused the children of Israel to remain in Kemet, in Egypt, for such a long time. Well, the misnomer is that the Most High hated Egypt. And in reality, there was a moment there where one of the pharaohs decided to be hardened. His heart was hardened against the children of Israel. And it's that hardening of the heart that the Most High did not like. And because Pharaoh was at the top of the social pyramid, if I may, as the ruler of Kemet, he would do things to persecute and to oppress and to exact cruelty on the people of Israel during the generation that this particular Pharaoh was ruling. Now, the reason that we're calling this particular live stream, they're going to reject the way they treated you as long as you stay true to your calling, is because it lines up with the reason that the children of Israel were in the wilderness to begin with. And it also aligns up with the reason why the children of Israel were made to stay in the wilderness 40 years before they inherited the promised land. You see, the customs of Kemet were good for the people, but the customs of Kemet were not good or suitable for a people that was getting ready to receive its own inheritance, its own borders, its own allotment of land. Now, that land we know is well documented as originally being Canaanite land. There are some political aspects to that. I've addressed in previous videos, not on live, but I've addressed in previous videos that can be looked at in earlier on in the content of this channel. But one thing you have to realize is politically that the Canaanites and the Israelites were close in spiritual prowess than many think and know. And because of this, there had to be a distinction. Okay, there had to be a distinction made in the land. I see a delivery is coming. There had to be a distinction made in the land at the time that the Israelites were to inherit it. That's another topic for another day. It's too deep to go into. But before the Israelites could inherit it, they had to be clear of the way that they were thinking comedically. Okay. Now, what does this mean? They're gonna reject the way they're gonna regret, excuse me, they're gonna regret the way they treated you as long as you stay true to your calling. Well, in simplified terms, the Pharaoh at that time, because his heart was hardened, he was not only cruel to the Israelite people, he was not only oppressive to the Israelite people, but he was at times a homicidal maniac. And he, in his hardened heart, wasn't able to empathize with a growing people, with a people who simply needed a place of their own to dwell in and to express in. And with all of his power, Pharaoh decided to not use it for the goodness of a people who had been brought in as strangers to his land. And strangers is a funny term talking about the Israelites because they weren't Gentiles ever in another person's land. Gentiles mean non Israelites. And so when we take the word Gentile, it's synonymous most times with stranger in the Bible, in the scriptures, in the Torah. And so I chose to use strangers just now because that is essentially how the Israelite people were treated, maybe even worse so than what we are commanded to do when we find a stranger within our border. And so Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He became oppressive. He became very cold, detached. He became a persecutionist, one who wanted to see the ill side of a people. He wanted to, he was very vengeful and revengeful for reasons that uh, were reactionary based off of his initial response to needing to free the Israelite people from the years of bondage that caused them to not be able to move out, that caused them to not be able to get from under that hand of oppression, that foot of oppression. Okay? So they gonna reject the way they treat you. Or they excuse why I keep saying reject. They gonna regret the way they teach you. Get this right. They gonna regret the way they treat you as long as you stay moving in your calling. Now, when it was time for Moses to go back and gather the children of Israel, first of all, there was much doubt. There was much doubt in the land. There was so much doubt. And the children of Israel honestly did not want to leave until that last and final plague. What was that last plague? The plague of all of the firstborns in the land of Egypt being killed. Was that the first? The last plague, right? Where all of the firstborn of Egypt were killed, and not just children, but animals, cattle, you name it, firstborn of everything was killed within those borders of Kemet. And the only firstborns who were not killed were those who sacrificed the lamb and splattered the blood along the doorposts of their dwelling spaces. The people who did that were primarily Israelite people. So when Pharaoh woke up and realized that his eldest and firstborn son had been killed, he grew very sad. And he realized that the God of Israel greater than the gods that he was relying on and calling upon at that time. So Pharaoh's heart, still hardened, was moved in a way to say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm not going to be able to beat them. Let them go. And when he did that, the children of Israel were also set off with great abundance, a great abundance of wealth, of jewels, of gold, of cattle. And it wasn't until a little while till after they set off. Well, let me back up. In the cattle, in the jewel giving, and all of this abundance of wealth, some of the Egyptian people themselves decided to come and decided to leave Kemet to go with the children of Israel. So, cleaving to the children of Israel, there was a great multitude of people who were not Israelites by blood. And they all left. And it wasn't until a little while after they left that Pharaoh realized, wait a second, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to just let these cats get over on me like this. Nah, buddy. I know that something happened with my son and all the rest of my folks' firstborn children, but you know what? We not gonna let this fly. We not gonna let this fly at all. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna chase them down. I'm gonna get in my chariots, my horse-drawn chariots, and we finna get some blood. We going for jugular. We going for throat. So the children of Israel are moving along. And during this time, the Most High provided them with a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of smoke by day and a pillar of fire by night. There are many in the, let's call it truth community, that feel as though that pillar of smoke and fire was that ray coming from a light ship, chariot of the Most High, guiding the children of Israel along. During this time of being guided along, we all know the story of Pharaoh chasing them and then eventually being drowned, and his soldiers eventually being drowned in the Sea of Reeds. Now, when we think about what happened after that, this is where the Feast of Tabernacles narrative begins to take place and why it begins to take place. Many, if not all, well, most of, the majority of the Hebrew Israelite people of that day were still very much in tune with Kemetic customs and principles and practices. So much so that the Most High had to designate to Moses to teach the children of Israel laws, statutes, and commands that were custom made for the Israelite people. The Israelite people have always been hard headed, stiff necked, and stubborn. But for some reason, we seem to flourish in the bylaws and laws and statutes and commands of other people's nations. It's only when we get into our own nation that we seem to have a problem. We always had this issue with wanting to be like everybody else, not realizing how special we really were. And in recognizing that we weren't stinking the way that we should, the Most High caused us to wander through the wilderness for 40 years, just long enough for the generation at that time who had been brought out of Kemet originally die off. And he needed that to happen because there were too many people who were observing customs, laws, traditions, and statutes after receiving the laws, statutes, and commands of the Most High, and they wouldn't let those Egyptian customs, laws, and statutes go. So what's the deal then with they gonna regret the way they treated you as long as you stay true to your calling? Well, had the children of Israel stayed true to the calling that they received to leave Egypt and Kemet at that time, one, they wouldn't have had to journey through the wilderness for 40 years. Okay. Two, the nations, including Pharaoh, the Egyptians, wouldn't have looked at them scornfully for traveling through the wilderness after just now leaving Kemet. Three, the children of Israel themselves wouldn't have been as reluctant as they were to do a new thing versus the comfortabilities that they had received in Kemet. See, in the wilderness, we were asked to make dwellings like this. We were asked to sleep, to live out of dwellings like these as we were journeying from point A to B through the wilderness before we got to the promised land, to build and to cultivate and to caretake and to nurture and to grow, to plant, to harvest. And so while we were in the wilderness, there were very few opportunities to cultivate, to plant. So much so that the Most High had to send down manna from heaven and had to send uh, supernatural happenings to the children of Israel, like water gushing out of rocks and stones, and all sorts of quails and I'm having a brain fart right here on the type of pheasant, the little bird. Uh, it'll get back to me, but it's not quite a chicken. It's not a quail, but there were quails too. But I'm not. It's not what I'm thinking about. Excuse me. I'll get it. It'll come back to me. It's not a yard bird. Yard bird is chicken. It'll get back to me. So, nonetheless, the children of Israel became scornful people. You know, um, uh, it's one of them things where people started looking at them like, dang, they'd have been better off in Kemet instead of traveling all through the wilderness like this. And they themselves was feeling the same way. So in life, when we're oppressed, when we're talked about, when we're treated harshly, when individuals want to go out of their way to be rude to us and not kind to us, and they get a kick out of this, when individuals get to shutting down the kindness of their heart and the goodness of who they are to you, there are blessings in that. There are blessings in that. As long as you stay in the calling and purpose that is over your life. When you stay in the calling and purpose over your life, and y'all don't mind me, I'm still looking at the cattle. When y'all stay in the purpose and calling of your life, what'll happen is, one, even when a rainy day comes, even when it looks like all hope is lost, you're going to receive blessings to get you through to the next day. Two, when you stay in your purpose and calling in life, no matter how difficult it may seem, you're taking the daily steps towards your promised land. You're taking the daily steps towards your spiritual inheritance. You're taking the daily steps towards your earthly inheritance. And this is something that a lot of us don't realize. Instead, we get caught in the sauce. We get caught up things of those who make themselves our enemies instead of focusing on moving forward. You see, a lot of times our enemies have a way of making us comfortable around them, whether it be through the trinkets that they have, the different forms of technological advancements they have, the material aspects that they like to hold over your head like a carrot on a stick in order to bait you and to keep you from finding your own food, your own sustenance, you see. And when they do this to you, they're doing it because they know that something special about you. They know there's something peculiar about you. They know that there's a calling over your life, even if none of you have seen the full manifestation of it. They know that it's something special about you. And their job is to do anything they can to knock you off your square, to trick you out of your position. And the longer you chasing a dangling carrot, the longer you are adhering to their customs, the longer you're adhering to the mindsets of your oppressor, the longer it is you're not focused on your purpose and calling to get you set apart and away from your oppressor. And as I was recalling these narratives about the 40 year in the wilderness, something came to me, and I'm going to read you what I wrote. The children of Israel are hard-headed and stiff-necked. We've been that way since the very beginning, y'all. This is why the Feast of Tabernacles is decreed by the Most High to extend throughout all generations in this age. Why, brother true Jew? Why has the Most High decreed the high holy days, especially Feast of Tabernacles, to be carried out through all the generations in this age? It's simple when we think about it, because we would be placed into bondage again. As Hebrew Israelite people, we had a number of bondages, of captivities that we were placed in. We had the Babylonian captivity. We had the Persian Mede captivity. We had the Grecian captivity. We had the Roman captivity a couple times, which we still in right now. And when you think about these different captivities, the first captivity we was in, well, see, the reason that we don't normally count the Kemet captivities because we didn't get taken in as captives into Kemet. Okay, we left out of bondage, but we didn't go in bondage in Kemet. Now Yosef did. Yosef was sold by his own brothers. You see that black on black crime? It been going on. Yosef was sold into Kemet by his brothers, and so, but the whole Israelite people was not sold into bondage or taken into bondage and captivity at that time. So we don't normally count that one as the beginning of a captivity, unlike the Babylonian captivity where there was war and our people was taken in due to being prisoners of war, being actual captives. Okay? Same thing with the Persian Medes, same thing with the Greeks, and same thing with the Romans. Now, we would be placed into bondage a final time. And we would need to remember how to construct tabernacles in the future in preparation of our final sojourn for captivity, from captivity. You see, in this final captivity that we're in, the reason we were asked to continue observing the Feast of Tabernacles is so we could do just like this, so that we could teach our children how to construct a tabernacle for themselves, because we wouldn't know how long we was actually going to be in captivity. Okay, we could be in captivity another 60 years. Well, if that's the case, these boys that helped me build this tabernacle yesterday, they'll be grown grandfathers, maybe even great grandfathers by that time in 60 years. And so when you think about how many generations would come from them or from me and them in this moment, it could be two more generations that come about. before 60 years is up. And so each generation would need to know how to build a tabernacle in preparation for that final sojourn through the wilderness again. You see, because we are going to be placed into the wilderness again. And that wilderness placement will happen once we are gathered from the four corners of the world, and all Israelite people will be gathered, but all Israelite people this time, just like last time, are not going to make it out the wilderness. And many of us, all of us, will be tried. And we're going to see who's the righteous and upright Israelite versus who wants to maintain evil and wickedness. There will still be your scoffers amongst the Israelite people. There will still be your doubters. There will still be your naysayers and your reluctant ones. And there will still be your upright ones, your righteous ones, your faith filled ones, your ones who are hopeful and hope filled. You see, so we have to keep in mind that patterns continue to exhibit themselves all throughout the age. Okay. And our age, the end of this age, the period of the part of this age that we are experiencing right now is no different than those of our ancestors and ancestresses, save for maybe the garments that we wear today, the access to technology we have today, as far as these Babylonian systemic apparatuses and devices is concerned. But as far as the supernatural awakening within the most of us and the ability to utilize metaphysical principles, that has been waning. That has been waning for some time. Okay? And most of us don't even know how to construct a tabernacle we once did. And that was one of the reasons I felt it was important to go live stream this yesterday and show y'all the step by step to the best of my ability as far as what we was able to show you. Okay. Now, keep moving towards your blessing. Now, as long as you stay true to your calling, you can expect people to okay, regret the way they treated you. See, people not gonna regret the way they treat you in an oppressive state when you're not true to your calling, because they'll be winning. They think that they doing the right thing by oppressing you because you have been failing to move forward in your calling. So they erroneously and in vain think that they are doing the correct thing. Remember the story of the seven Hebrew young men and their mama and that so-called King Dionysius? Remember that story we read from Second Maccabees? And we discussed how the Hebrew young men were very brave. Their mother was very brave. And one thing the fifth or sixth brother said was to Dionysius, he said, hey, don't think for one moment that your torturing of us is because anything that you got going on. No, our ancestors, our people, turned our backs on the Most High. And I have been made strong enough as a Hebrew man to admit this to you. But don't you think and don't you start feeling yourself just because you got me here about to be putting me in a frying pan, literally. Nah, you're not going to get that glory. You're not going to get the opportunity to boast and brag about that, Jack. Nah, I'm here because the Most High want me here. And the thing about it is, when you kill this body, you will not be able to kill my soul and the spirit that animates this body, the breath of eternal life within me. And I will be brought back. But as for you, Dionysius, you're going to have to suffer death and you're not coming back. And so the seven Hebrew young men made it very clear in their stance, along with their blessed mother, that they weren't going to bend the knee and they weren't going to give in to the oppressive nature of Dionysius, but they were going to stand strong even though they was tormented. And you see, at that moment, they were made an example to all subsequent generations of Israelites who understood the significance of that story. You see what I'm saying? And so when you apply the significance of that story into your own daily life, as well as the significance of the story of wandering through the wilderness for 40 years and living in a tabernacle from point A to B, each section of the journey, each stage of the journey along the way, because we were not in our own lands yet, you could see the dynamic. On one hand, here's a people being led out of a place that they've called home for the past 250 years, a place where all of the customs have been learned, a place where they were comfortable in their dwellings, a place where they could live, eat, be sheltered, be clothed, be given sustenance as far as drink is concerned. And all of a sudden, that whole existence is being shaken up to now go have to be essentially be homeless and live in the wilderness amongst a great multitude of kinsmen and kinswomen in structures that we have to build and take down every time we have to move closer to our goal. But the point is that had the children of Israel of that era refined their minds, renewed their minds, and just went for the journey instead of trying to hang on to a place that was oppressive in nature at that time, forget about what was going on before, forget about the blessings of abundance, forget about the placement at that time, and just think about what was going on, what was taking place, and what was happening at the time that they were actually called to leave. Then you would see that their best interest was definitely at heart. I had the children of Israel's best interest at heart, but our ancestors and ancestresses of that era didn't see it. Remember, we've always been a hard headed, stiff necked people, no different than today, where we can cry loud all we want to. And our people today have a very difficult time leaving the oppressor alone. Our people today have a very difficult time. You talking about some gang banging, thug, hoodlum, miscreant, gangster, gangster babies running around here, quick to pull a trigger on their brother. But tell one of them brothers they got to leave the city and come out to the country. Oh my goodness, they'll be frozen in their boots. Tell these brothers they gotta come out here and live off the land and swing an axe in their hand and get out here and go fish for their own food and tend to their own crops and to cultivate their crops and attend to them cattle and them cows and go milk a cow. Bro, I can't do that. Nah, bro, I ain't going out there. I ain't going out there. I'm cool right here, bro. I'm not going out there. So you see, knowing very well that they are still under the hand of the oppressor, knowing very well that police hate them, knowing very well that the city government is doing everything that they can to gentrify our neighborhoods, our hoods, our blocks, our streets, streets that don't even belong to us, but streets that we claim as ours, have an emotional attachment to, so much so that we won't leave. The oppressor loves that. Most oppressors work for the devil, if not all. If not all. And of course, all things are decreed and willed by the Most High, but the Most High uses different characters to initiate these different levels of the Most High's will. And when it comes to a nasty, oppressive, keep down mentality type nature, usually, once again, the people who do that, they feel that they're doing what they are supposed to be doing, which rightfully so they are. They think that it's of themselves because in an oppressive nature also comes an ego and a high mind towards oneself. To think that what they're doing is in and of themselves, and that's what made Pharaoh such a classic figure. It's because Pharaoh thought it was him who was doing all of these things and thought that he had the power to hold the children of Israel back, not realizing that he was given a hardened heart in order to do these things for a while, but that hardened heart would lead to his own destruction. As long as the children of Israel stayed true to their calling. And there was a moment where the children of Israel stayed true to their calling, so much so that the Sea of Reeds was split in two for them to walk through that last leg of the journey up until that point to get away from Pharaoh before Pharaoh and his horsemen and his chariots were drowned. Now, as the waters closed up. Now, what happened after that was what we're talking about today, where for 40 years the children of Israel had to sojourn and had to move through the land of the wilderness, had to deal with all sorts of situations that they didn't have to deal with in Kemet. Had they not been hard headed and stiff necked, people of Egypt who remained in Egypt, who didn't leave with the children of Israel, would have surely regretted the children of Israel leaving, because it would have been evident and obvious more so that there was an extreme amount of blessing and covering over the children of Israel. And who wouldn't want someone as blessed and as covered as by the Most High to live amongst them? As long as these people who are blessed live amongst these people who are looking for blessings, then blessings will be abundant. Because these people who are looking for blessings will go out of their way to treat those who are blessed in kindness and gratitude. Okay? And that's the thing. When people who oppress you in your daily walk do that, they fail to recognize that one day, if you stay true to your calling, you will be flourishing in the blessings that were already destined for you. Instead, they feel that they are blessed with the little trinkets that they have, the little trinkets that they receive. And instead of thinking about the bigger picture of how well they could be blessed further for helping and aiding those who are truly blessed, where blessing is a part of their calling, they would prefer to keep them down and abuse them, speak harshly to them, talk nasty to them, be rude to them, be sharp with them. Did I say be harsh already? So when you think about the different ways people treat one another, it's usually because they want to keep a one up on you if they're being that nasty type of person. It's usually because they see that you have the potential to be great, but are jealous of your potentiality of greatness. Okay? Because that greatness that you will eventually receive, if you stay true to your calling, will be greater than anything they feel they have received or attained in their walk. Okay? So it's very important that you can make that distinction. Now, what we going to do on this Chag Sukkot Sameach, which is Happy Feast of Tabernacles, we're going to go into the book of Second Ezra. You know me. Y'all know me. I love me some Second Ezra. But we're going to go into it for a slightly different reason today. There's a great narrative at the beginning of the book, and it discusses some of the nuances of what took place during that time. All right, take me a little drink. Excuse me, y'all. Okay. Now we're going to read from 2nd Ezra chapter 1 and 2nd Ezra chapter 2. Okay. 2nd Ezra chapter 1 verse 1 begins. The book of the prophet Ezra, son of Sariah, son of Azariah, son of Helkiah, son of Shallum, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Ahijah, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Mariomoth, excuse me, son of Anna, son of Uzi, son of Borith, son of Abishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, of the tribe of Levi, who was a captive in the country of the Medes, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of the Persians. So if y'all remember that movie 300, y'all remember that Xerxes, or Antixerxes, was the ruler at that time. Now, this wasn't a focus on the children of Israel, it was a focus on Roman soldiers going against this Artaxerxes against Persia. But nonetheless, in real time, Artaxerxes was the king of the Persians at that time. Now, did y'all check that bloodline that Ezra descends from? Ezra is the same as Esdras, okay, in the Apocrypha. Now, did you notice how Ezra, the son, let's see how many great greats. Here's the son, grandson, great grandson, great great, great great great, great 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 great, great, let's see, great 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 great, great 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 great, great 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 great, great 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 great, great 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 great, great 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 great, great 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 great. We at 12 greats right now, y'all. Zadok is 13, Shalom is 14, Hilkiah is 15, 16 is Azariah, 17 is Sariah, and 18 is Ezra. 18 generations away from Aaron. So Ezra is 18 generations removed from what was taking place in the wilderness. 189. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, 9. What's that? That's the last number before you get to double digits, right? That's the fullness. That's the fullness of something, right? Number 9. So Esdras comes along. Esdras is the 18th grandson of Aaron. Aaron is of the tribe of Levi. Aaron was the first Levitical high priest for the children of Israel. All right, now, when you think about this, this is very significant that a son of Levi would also be a prophet, would be one who the Most High chose to speak with personally about what was going to be happening, not only in his time, but in our time as well. In verse 4, 2nd Ezra chapter 1, we read, excuse me, the word of the Most High came to me, saying, Go, declare to my people their evil deeds, and to their children, and to their children, the iniquities that they have committed against me, so that they may tell their children's children that the sins of their parents have increased in them, for they have forgotten me and have offered sacrifices to strange gods. Was it not I who brought them out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage? But they have angered me and despised my counsels. Now you, pull out the hair of your head and hurl all evils upon them, for they have not obeyed my law. They are a rebellious people. How long shall I endure them, on whom I have bestowed such great benefits? For their sake I have overthrown many kings. I struck down Pharaoh with his servants and all his army. I destroyed all nations before them, and scattered in the east the peoples of two provinces, Tyre and Sidon. I killed all their enemies. But speak to them and say, Thus says the Most High, surely it was I who brought you through the sea of reeds, and made safe highways for you where there was no road, through the wilderness. I gave you Moses as leader and Aaron as priest. Aaron, the first high priest of the children of Israel. I provided light for you, a pillar of fire, did great wonders among you. Yet you have forgotten me, says the Most High. Just like in that day, our stiff-headed, our stiff-necked, hard-headed, rebellious people forgot the Most High to honor the law, statutes, and commands. So are we doing so today. We have forgotten the law, statutes, and commands ourselves. Okay. Verse 15 of 2nd Ezra chapter 1. Thus says the Most High Almighty, quails were assigned to you. Remember I talked about them birds and quails? Okay. I gave you camps for protection, and in them you complained. Camps were primarily camps of tabernacles. Okay. The camps where we were supposed to get tighter together and bond. As we bonded, we would be moved and transitioned into our own nation, our own land. Instead, we being fickle with one another. We going on each other. We going in on each other. Excuse me, y'all. We going in on each other. We complaining to the Most High. Oh, why we just can't go back to where we was at all them years? Why we just can't go back into a place where we familiar with? Why we got to do all this? I gave you camps for your protection, and in them you complained. You have not exulted in my name at the destruction of your enemies, but to this day you still complain. Where are the benefits that I bestowed on you when you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness? Did you not cry out to me, saying, why have you led us into this wilderness to kill us? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. I pitied your groanings and gave you manna for food. You ate the bread of angels. When you were thirsty, did I not split the rock so that waters flowed in abundance? Because of the heat, I clothed you with the leaves of trees. Ooh, it looked like it's some lightning off in them distance, off in them clouds, and some thunder. Maybe I just heard some thunder. Oh yeah, this is a good day right here. Yeah, talk to us, Most High. Talk to us. I pitied your groanings and gave you manna for food. You ate the bread of angels. When you were thirsty, did I not split the rock so that waters flowed in abundance? Didn't I, by the grace of the Most High, just say that earlier? All of these things happen, and our people still complain. Check it. Because of the heat, I clothed you with the leaves of trees. I divided fertile lands among you. I drove out the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Philistines before you. What more can I do for you, says the Most High? Thus says the Most High Almighty. You were in the wilderness, at the bitter stream, thirsty and blaspheming my name. I did not send fire on you for your blasphemies, but threw a tree into the water and made the stream sweet. So it was a bitter stream, and Most High basically took a tree like a tea bag and threw it into the stream, and it cleaned up the stream. It purified the stream, and it made the waters turn from bitter to sweet. What shall I do to you, O Jacob? Now, the Most High isn't talking to Papa Jacob. He's talking to the children of Jacob, the children of Israel and Judah. What shall I do to you, O Jacob? You, Judah, would not obey me. I will turn to other nations and will give them my name, so that they may keep my statutes. This is what people have an issue with Paul about. You see, Paul was only declaring what he read in the Septuagint. Remember, Paul knew Greek, he knew Roman, and at the time of Paul, much of the Torah had been transcribed into Septuagint. Much of the Holy Scriptures had been transcribed into the Septuagint. The apocryphal books were included in the Septuagint. So Paul, having read this, knew that due to the stiff-headed, stiff-headed, stiff-necked, hard-headed nature of his people, Paul being a Benjamite himself of the tribe of Benjamin, knowing that the rest of Israel and the Israelites were a crude, hard-headed people, he knew that folks would end up. Let me see, y'all still with me? Okay. He knew that folks of the Israelite blood would eventually their covenants taken, and the Most High would give the statutes unto another nation. And it's funny, not funny, but it's very interesting that that other nation, a people that will now come, as we're going to read soon, that's the Gentile Christians. Okay, most Christians are Gentiles. And most modern day so-called black folk Christians don't realize that they are truly children of Israel and consider themselves to be Gentiles. Okay, which is erroneous. And so we have two different people in modern day time, 2022, who don't know who they are. I came across a video the other night on YouTube, side note, and it was a Gentile teaching out of the Torah about the name the Lord. And I didn't leave a comment on it. I don't like leaving comments on other content creators' videos like that, especially if they're not necessarily moving the right way with the narrative. But this content creator was insinuating that Baal and Molech were the same being. And that's simply not true. And what we have to remember is during this time, many Christians, many Gentile Christians, have erroneously propped themselves up and have been attempting, and I would say leading is kind of the blind leading the blind, many asleep Hebrew Israelite people. Joe Osteens and all of those types of guys who are non-Hebrew, but leading whole congregations of Hebrew Israelite people. And you would think that their good old buddy Paul would be an influence on them. But Paul, his influence has been waning as well. Paul was clear in his discretionary warning to the Gentiles. Listen, don't y'all be thinking now just because you have been grafted in, because you have been kindly brought into the fold of Israelite people, that you yourself are Israelite, that you have power given to you to lead and guide Israelite people. For you to have this idea of high mindedness over Israelite people, and that should not be so. Remember, you yourself were grafted in. And if you think you are important as a grafted in Gentile stranger to the people of Israel, how much more important is the root of the tree that you was actually grafted into? Without the root and the tree growing from the root, you would not have anything to be grafted on to. And without the root, you would die. So Paul was very clear that the Gentile strangers or the Gentile Christians would eventually come and would either keep their minds at a humble state of being, or they would prop themselves up erroneously and despise the children of Israel, which is the very tree that they are seeking to cleave to and be grafted to. So in the world today, we have this great conundrum of people who are propping themselves up to teach the word of the Most High, who shouldn't be. There you have a great conundrum in the people who are supposed to be teaching the word of the Most High, cleaving unto the ways of wicked Gentiles and cleaving unto the ways of the wicked mind and heart that is already within them, that they are refusing to have renewed and to be able to move forward into the truth and into the walk of the light. So we in some very interesting and wild times. But the Most High tells us that in verse 24 of 2nd Ezra chapter 1, what shall I do to you, O Jacob? You, Judah, would not obey me. I will turn to other nations and will give them my name so that they keep my statutes. that was to provoke us to jealousy. One day. Man, what they doing up here trying to teach what we got going on? Our word that was given, well, that's the Most High's word that was given to us. Why aren't we dealing with it? Ah, because you turned your back, oh dear Jacob. You turned your back, O Israel, to the Most High. You turned your back, O Judah. But now that you're waking up and you're getting stirred up, that's a good thing. Now it's like Simba waking up and stirring up after Rafiki then bapped him on the head a couple times. Told him, go look at your reflection in the water so you can return back to the highlands from which you was placed originally. Go on now. Remember how Pride Rock was lifted up? It was highland. Just like Deuteronomy chapter 32 tells us. Just like that song y'all heard that I wrote called Highlands. It's talking about how we was blessed with all the goodness. And then our own ignorance and stubbornness is the cause for us to be taken from that goodness. But just like Simba, we can be, whoa, 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 wake up, Simba. We can be stirred up. We can be taken back. We can reclaim what is ours rightfully by the blood. So check this out. I will turn other nations and will give them my name so that they keep my statutes because you have forsaken me. I also will forsake you. When you beg mercy of me, I will show you no mercy. When you call to me, I will not listen to you. For you have defiled your hands with blood, and your feet are swift to commit murder. It is not as though you had forsaken me. You have forsaken yourselves. Ooh, says the Most High. I love that line. And that's the line that inspired me to title this live stream what it is. Okay? They will regret the way they treated you as long as you stay within your calling. You see, it is not as though you had forsaken me. You have forsaken yourself, says the Most High. In such a powerful statement. Because we now recognizing that we missed out on all the blessings. We once had honey flowing and milk flowing for butter. We once had fresh everything, fresh crops, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh cattle, fresh goats and sheep and livestock, fresh chickens, fresh quails and fresh birds to eat, and all these things to eat, fresh water to drink. In order to make ourselves like the other nations, we forsook all of that. And in doing so, we forsook our own bylaws, statutes, laws, and commands for someone else's. Someone else said, yeah, you don't want to follow after the creator of the universe? You would rather do what we got going on? The creator of the universe ain't chose us to be that position? Shoot, okay, y'all can do what we got going on. And then we'll do what the creator of the universe is saying, and then we're going to be propped over y'all. The same way y'all could have been propped over us. What kind of idiots are y'all? That's what they thinking. That's what those other nations are thinking. So how could they have respect for us? How could they have respect for our women? How could they have respect for our children in these schooling systems? How? You see how they could keep on creating curriculums that cause us to be feeling stupid and dumb? Curriculums that start off with the enslavement period. They don't even tell you why you're enslaved. They just tell you, oh, you's a slave. Fight for your civil rights, rights that should be civilly given unto all people on this soil. Oh, you three-fifths a man. You not even a human. You cattle. You belong on the stock and bonds trade. That's why it's called stock and bonds. Because we was the first stock in bonds. Woo! Y'all hear me? We was the first stock in bonds in this country. Y'all hear me? So Wall Street was all about selling us and trading us and humiliating us. But this is the thing, y'all, and why I have hope about this. That humiliation is almost over. That humiliation is about to be done with. And that is why we was asked to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. That is why we was asked to observe this high holy day. Because one day we would be taken from our captivity again. forced to walk through the wilderness and sojourn through the wilderness again. And the men of Israel would have to know how to build these things, would have to know how to construct these things, because this last time we go through the wilderness, we going to really be tried in the fire. And those who make it through, congratulations. You will be the inheritors of the new kingdom. You will be the kings and queens and governors of the new kingdom. You will be the high ranking officials of the new kingdom. You will be the rulers of the new kingdom. Those of us who don't make it, oh my, we gonna get chopped down like these here foundation poles in this tabernacle, and we gonna be made an example evermore on what not to ever do again. You got to choose what side you rocking with. Verse 28 of 2nd Ezra chapter 1. Thus says the Most High Almighty, have I not entreated you as a father entreats his sons, or a mother her daughters, or a nurse her children, so that you should be my people, and I should be your God, and that you should be my children, and I should be your father? Hear this. The Most High was so kind, generous, and lenient into dealing with us. But we are a stiff necked and stubborn people, y'all. I don't even think it's a donkey on this earth, a mule on this earth who is stubborn as us. I gathered you as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. But now, what shall I do to you? I will cast you out from my presence. When you offer oblations to me, I will turn my face from you. For I have rejected your festal days, and new moons, and circumcisions of the flesh. I sent you my servants, the prophets, but you have taken and killed them and torn their bodies in pieces. I will require their blood of you, says the Most High. You see, our prophets have been stoned. Our prophets have been killed, not by enemy nations. The prophets of Israel were always killed by Israelite people. The prophets of Israel were initiated into prophethood in order to prophesy to the children of Israel, so that we might know how to how to behave and act, so that we might be able to see what was happening around us and what was being destined for us. The prophets of Israel were always working on behalf of the Most High for Israel's sake. Verse 33 of the second Ezra chapter 2. Thus says the Most High Almighty, your house is desolate. I will drive you out as the wind drives straw. Your sons will have no children, because with you they have neglected my commandment and have done what is evil in my sight. I will give your houses to a people that will come, who without having heard me will believe. See, those people that will come, those are the Gentile Christians. Okay, those are those Gentiles who, not having ever heard of the Most High, not having seen any signs of the Most High, not having been given the benefit of the supernatural happenings of the Most High, they'll just believe and know. And why? These same people are those in Islamic faith, who are also children of not Israel, but of Abraham. They didn't get to see the supernatural happenings, but them being children of Abraham as well, they knew that, shoot, the Most High is dealing with the children of Israel, our cousins. But if the children of Israel don't want these blessings, if the children of Israel is acting like they don't want to rock with the Most High, then hey, we'll take that spot. We'll gladly take it, as a matter of fact. And in taking it, we ain't gonna give it back. We gonna act like we don't know what's going on with them. We gonna act like this is for us. And when they ask us who they are in 2022, as they come into our liquor stores and to our smoke shops, we gonna say, no. You got to go do your research, buddy. You got to buy right, smoke rat, buddy, and get out of here, buddy. You mustn't know who you are, buddy. They're gonna look at you like you crazy. Unless you walk in there telling them I'm a child of Israel, ain't I? I know who I am. And they gonna start treating you different. Oh, buddy, you are the chosen one, buddy. There's something peculiar and special about you, buddy. Oh, well, thank you for letting me know. Thank you, Rahim, for letting me know. After I let you know. And being a confirmation for me. I truly appreciate that, buddy. So you see, people will come that didn't even have no reason to believe except seeing all the blessings we had. Saying, man, they tripping. It's just like somebody who wasn't raised with their birth parents and they get adopted into someone else's home, or they get the opportunity to see someone else's parents in action, and the parents who they are watching and witnessing have very disrespectful children. And they just might happen to be the friend of one of these disrespectful children. And they pull their friend to the side. They like, man, you so blessed, bruh. Like, don't you know what you got? Man, I wish I had my mama and my daddy with me. Man, I would do everything. I'd be the best son. And yet you got everything. You being disrespectful and rude to your mom like this. You talking about your dad. You not being cool. They not doing nothing wrong to you. They treating you right. Everything that you want. Man, you got, bruh. Why is you doing this to them? Man, if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't do this. I would be kind. I would be courteous. I would pay attention. I would love them. And that's what these people was thinking. How could the Israelite people be so hard headed and not want to do what we was asked to do? And now, because the world has been overrun by wickedness, most of those people, they like, man, the Israelites tripping, and we not dealing with their God. We dealing with the devil. That's what they'll say through their actions. And so now, because they are dealing with the devil, what do you see? You see the persecution of our people daily in the streets still. You see the persecution of our people daily. You see all sorts of craziness take place in the land, right? You see in all sorts of crazy taking place. And it's like, wait a second, what's really going on here? You know what I'm saying? What's really going on? Y'all excuse me, I'm looking at these cows. I think I'm gonna have to go down there and get them in a little while. They looking at me, and I'm looking at them. All right, so let's keep on going though. We not gonna worry too much about them right now, but I know that they down there doing what they do. So these people come in and they immediately believe. Verse 35 again of 2nd Ezra chapter 2. I will give your houses to a people that will come, who without having heard me will believe. Those to whom I have showed no signs will do what I've commanded. Remember, I mentioned how they didn't even receive no signs or nothing, and yet they're going to do what the Most High is asking. They have seen no prophets, yet will recall their former state. I call to witness the gratitude of the people that is to come, whose children rejoice with gladness, though they do not see me with bodily eyes, excuse me. You see, these people didn't even get to see the Most High face to face. These people didn't get to see the pillar of fire and smoke. These people didn't get to hear the voice of the Most High, yet they believe. Yet with the Spirit, they will believe the things I've said. And now, Father, or Baba, or Father. He's still talking to Ezra, sign of respect amongst our people. Baba. Baba is one way of Hebrew word saying father. Then you have Abba. Abba is another way. Same letters, just switched around. And now, Baba, look with pride and see the people coming from the east. To them I will give as leaders Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Hosea, and Amos, and Micah and Joel and Obadiah and Jonah and Nahum and Habakkuk and Zephaniah and Haggai and Zechariah and Malachi, who is also called the messenger of the Most High. All of these prophets were given to these others. The words of the prophets were given to them for a while. And it's very important to recognize that if those of the Gentile nations saw the children of Israel still being hard headed and stiff necked and seeing what we could do to one another, why eventually wouldn't they think that not only do they get a form of power in the word, but they can also treat us however we want to because we not doing what we supposed to do? It goes back to they will regret how they treat you as long as you are in your calling. But if you are not in your calling, guess what? They gonna think how they treat you is what they supposed to be treating you on. And you're going to keep on getting dogged out. You're going to keep on getting mistreated. You're going to keep on getting stepped on. You're going to keep on being called bywords. You're going to keep on being treated in a racial, nasty way. You're going to keep on having prejudice over you. You're going to keep on getting blocked out and boxed out of that career that you wanted. You're going to keep on getting boxed out and blocked from that raise that you wanted. You're going to keep on getting blocked out and blocked from that entrepreneurial pursuit that you had in that sector of business that you wanted to be in. Y'all see where I'm going with this? Chapter 2 of Second Ezra 2. Thus saith the Most High, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them commandments through my servants the prophets, but they would not listen to them, and made my counsels void. What happens when you take a contract and you don't honor it? It can become void, right? Well, that's what the second covenant is all about. The second covenant is about renewing the contract or rewriting it in such a way that the covenant now includes other nations who find the value in the wording of the covenant. And that covenant includes bylaws, statutes, commands, laws, no different than the Constitution of the United States. How is it that our people could come from all over the world who wasn't made captive, but come into this country, learn the bylaws, statutes, and commands, and want to honor them as a naturalized citizen, but don't want to honor the statutes and commands and learn the bylaws of the Most High? It's such an interesting dynamic. Or how can we be made captive in this land, called citizens, and yet we treat it like second class citizens and we not even here on a visa? Because we are still under the yoke of the oppressor. Now, this is something that's interesting to me. It's going to always be interesting to me because we have an opportunity to change that dynamic. Thus says the Most High, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them commandments through my servants, the prophets. See, today is a day of reflection, in so that not only are we to build the tabernacles, but what goes with the tabernacles? The law, statutes, and commands. It's a statute that we are to observe the Feast of Tabernacles, and therefore, observing the Feast of Tabernacles, we're also following the statutes, laws, and commands of the Most High in that respect. That's why I hope all of y'all who are joining me from wherever you are in the world right now benefit from this honoring of the statute and commands. You see? So we honoring the Most High together. Thus says the Most High, 2 Ezra chapter 2, verse 1. I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them commandments through my servants the prophets, but they would not listen to them, and my counsel void. The mother who bore them says to them, Go, my children, because I am a widow and forsaken. I brought you up with gladness, but with mourning and sorrow I have lost you, because you have sinned before the Most High the Most High God, and have done what is evil in my sight. But now, what can I do for you? For I am a widow and forsaken. Go, my children, and ask for mercy from the Most High. Now I call upon you, Father, as a witness in addition to the mother of the children, because they would not keep my covenant. Are y'all seeing this? So that you may bring confusion on them and bring their mother to ruin, so that they may have no offspring. Now, in this context of mother, mother is referring to our lands that we were allotted, where we were supposed to raise families on and be a part of multiple generations of people. Okay? That's what we were supposed to do. That's what we were called to do. To be fruitful and multiply. Okay? And yet, in that multiplication, we were supposed to observe the statutes, laws, and commands of the Most High and teach them to each subsequent generation. We were supposed to honor the Most High through the high holy days, the feast days. But we're a stubborn, thick-headed group of people, and we wouldn't keep the covenant of the Most High in its original form. So the Most High brought confusion onto us and our mother, Jerusalem, our lands to ruin. Let them be scattered among the nations. Ah, here we go. Who are the only people on earth scattered amongst the nations? Even to this day, y'all must not know in some of them countries in East Africa, our sisters are still being captured. Our children are still being captured and put in bondage and in real enslavement. Y'all must not know that. Even to this day. So, yes, we were scattered among the nations. Let their names be blotted out from the earth, because they have despised my covenant. Now, blotted out from the earth, let their names be blotted out from the earth means that we would not any longer know who we were. We wouldn't know who we were. We would be bywords. Our original names would be lost. Our family names would be lost. Now we wouldn't know we the son of, the son of, the son of. See how Ezra was able to go 18 generations back to his 18 times great grandfather Aaron, who was right there walking with Moses. His 18 times great uncle Ezra's 18 times great uncle is Moses. And his 18 times great auntie is Miriam. Do you see how that works? He could go all the way back. Now, most of us, some of us don't even know who our daddy is. Most of us definitely don't know who our grandparents is. And don't even get to ask about no great grandparents. I didn't even know I had them. Let them be scattered among the nations. Let their names be blotted out from the earth, because they have despised my covenant. Woe to you, Assyria, who conceal the unrighteous within you, O wicked nation. Remember what I did to Sodom and Gomorrah, whose land lies in lumps of pitch and heaps of ashes. That is what I will do to those who have not listened to me, says the Most High Almighty. Thus says the Most High to Ezra, tell my people that I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem, which I was going to give to Israel. Moreover, I will take back to myself their glory, and will give to these others the everlasting habitations, which I have prepared for Israel. The tree of life shall give them fragrant perfume, and they shall neither toil nor become weary. Go, and you will receive. Pray that your days may be few, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Be on the watch. Call, oh, call heaven and earth to witness. I set aside evil and created good, for I am the living one, says the Most High. Mother, embrace your children. Bring them up with gladness as does a dove. Strengthen their feet, because I have chosen you, says the Most High, and will raise up the dead from their places. And I will raise up the dead from their places and bring them out from their tombs, because I recognize my name in them. Do not fear, mother of children, for I have chosen you, says the Most High. I will send you help, my servants Ezekiel and Jeremiah. According to their counsel, I have consecrated and prepared for you 12 trees loaded with various fruits, and the same number of springs flowing with milk and honey, and 7 mighty mountains on which roses and lilies grow. By these I will fill your children with joy. Ooh, them thunder clouds is coming in. Them lightning clouds over there, y'all. I hear a little thunder too. Guard the rights of the widow. Secure justice for the ward. The ward is the orphan. Give to the needy. Defend the orphan. Clothe the naked. Care for the injured and the weak. Do not ridicule the lame. Protect the maimed. And let the blind have a vision of my splendor. So did y'all hear those commands? Guard the rights of the widow. Okay. Secure justice for the ward. Give to the needy. Defend the orphan. Clothe the naked. That's 5. Care for the injured and the weak. Do not ridicule the lame. Protect the maimed. And let the blind have vision of my splendor. There goes that 9 again. 1, 1 and 8 is 9. There you go again. Protect the old and young within your walls. 10. When you find any who are dead, commit them to the grave and mark it, and I will give you the first place in my resurrection. Pause and be quiet, my people, because your rest will come. You see, these commands right here are just a few of the ones that were decreed to us to observe and to uphold. And many of us now we refuse. Verse 25 of Second Ezra chapter 2. Good nurse, nourish your children, strengthen their feet. Not one of the servants whom I have given you will perish, for I will require them from among your number. Do not be anxious, for when the day of tribulation and anguish comes, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but you shall rejoice and have abundance. The nations shall envy you, but they shall not be able to do anything against you, says the Most High. My power will protect you, so that your children may not see hell. And if I'm correct, that hell would be Sheol or Gehenna. Okay? Gehenna, the grave, the ground. Excuse me, y'all. Okay? Verse 30. Rejoice, O mother, with your children, because I will deliver you, says the Most High. Remember your children that sleep, because I will bring them out of the hiding places of the earth, and will show mercy to them. For I am merciful, says the Most High Almighty. Embrace your children until I come and proclaim mercy to them, because my springs run over, and my grace will not fail. You see the type of reward and blessing we get when we honor the law, statutes, and commands given from the Most High to us? Verse 33. I, Ezra, received a command from the Most High on Mount Horeb to go to Israel. When I came to them, they rejected me and refused the Most High's commandment. Therefore I say to you, O nations that hear and understand, wait for your shepherd. He will give you everlasting rest, because he who will come at the end of the age is close at hand. Be ready for the rewards of the kingdom, because perpetual light will shine on you forevermore. You see, that's such a blessing. The shepherd who will give us everlasting rest, who will come at the end of this age, is close at hand. The rewards of the kingdom for keeping the law, statutes, and commands are about to be dispensated to the children of Israel. Do you understand that? And so, this is another reason we know that the Feast of Tabernacles is to continue on throughout all the generations. Because those of us who honor the Feast of Tabernacles, those of us who continue to keep the law, statutes, and commands will be counted worthy to be the rulers in the new kingdom to come, who will will be keeping the law, statutes, and commands then. That's why it's important. Hold on, y'all. Let me get that little piece of hay off of there. Oh, looks like we got a bunch of things falling. All right. Now look at this. Be ready for the rewards of the kingdom, because perpetual light will shine on you forevermore. Flee from the shadow of this age. Receive the joy of your glory. I publicly call on my Savior to witness. Receive what the Most High has entrusted to you, and be joyful. Give thanks to him who has called you to the celestial kingdom. Rise, stand erect, and see the number of those who have been sealed at the feast of the Most High. Those who have departed from the shadow of this age have received glorious garments from the Most High. Take again your full number, O Zion, and close the list of your people who are clothed in white, who have fulfilled the law of the Most High. Are y'all hearing this? This is Ezra being told a futuristic thing when the new kingdom will come, revolving around those who are clothed in white, and those who are clothed in white are the ones who receive the reward. And those who receive the reward have what? Fulfilled the law of the Most High. This is what the Feast of Tabernacles is all about in this captivity. Taking the opportunity to recognize the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High, even in the place of our captivity. The number of your children, whom you desired, is now complete. Implore the Most High's authority, that your people, who have been called from the beginning, may be holy. I, Ezra, saw on Mount Zion a great multitude that I could not number, and they all were praising the Most High with songs. Everybody praising. Yeah, praising the Most High with songs. I know I sure want to be there praising the Most High with songs. I don't know about y'all. I think I do. I think y'all want to be praising the Most High too. Excuse me. I think y'all want to be praising the Most High too. Let me see what Ezra saw again. I, Ezra, saw on Mount Zion a great multitude that I could not number, and they all were praising the Most High with songs. In their midst was a young man of great stature, taller than any of the others, and on the head of each of them he placed a crown. But he was more exalted than they. And I was held spellbound. Then I asked the angel, who are these, my master? Who are these, my Lord? He answered and said to me, these are they who have put off mortal clothing, this body, this avatar, and have put on the immortal avatar, and have confessed the name of the Most High. Now they are being crowned and receive palms. Then I said to the angel, who is that young man who is placing crowns on them and putting palms in their hands? He answered and said to me, he is the Son of God, whom they confessed in the world. I wonder who that could be. Who could that be? Is it Yahshua Mashiach? Is that who that is? So I began to praise those who stood valiantly for the name of the Most High. Then the angel said to me, go, tell my people how great and how many are the wonders of the Most High God that you have seen. Chapter 21. Ain't that something, y'all? All praises to the Most High. Ezra saw something that he was asked to go and prophesy to Judah and Israel, and it was an amazing sight to behold. It was an amazing sight to behold, because the people who were there in that vision were all of those who hadn't forsaken the Most High, and they were all of those. See, you got to remember, Ezra's time was before the time of Yahshua HaMashiach. So are y'all seeing how this prophecy is working? Ezra saw something taking so far ahead in the future, taking place so far ahead in the future, that he didn't even know who Yeshua was. Who's that tall brother over there? Placing crowns on everybody's head. Who is that? Oh, that's Yahshua, man. You ain't knowing yet because he's in the future that you haven't even lived in yet. That's why this is a prophecy, Ezra. He's one of your kinsmen, though. Oh, I see. I see. Man, that's incredible, ain't it? Are y'all seeing this? Remember yesterday when we was building this tabernacle, I told y'all that we had bumped into a serpent out here and I had to kill it. Well, I gave some thought to that. And earlier I was led to Numbers chapter 21, where Moses had to fashion a serpent out of brass. The serpent then came to life, and the serpent bit all of the children of Israel. And as it bit the children of, well, not all of them, but the ones who it bit were prophesied to live. Interesting, right? It seems like it would be the other way around. But no. I mean, first of all, Moses was asked to take a brass, a bunch of brass, construct a snake, a serpent from it, a fiery serpent, a brazen serpent. And that serpent was to bite the children of Israel. And if it bit the children of Israel who it bit, those individuals would be allowed to live. Verse 5 of Numbers chapter 21. And the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? See, again, we're talking about the children of Israel who are redundantly, or should I say, reluctantly, excuse me, moving through the wilderness upset that they couldn't stay under their oppressor. For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. See, just like always getting a little something, something, always getting blessed, and it ain't never enough. It seems like we just can't eat the light bread. We gotta have the bread. It gotta be toasted, and it gotta have butter and honey on it. We just can't have the bread though. We just can't eat the biscuit. Nope, the biscuit gotta be sweet. The biscuit gotta have honey on it. The biscuit gotta have jam on it. And the jam better be pure, wholesome jam. Grape jam. Strawberry jam. And the honey better be grade A, straight out of B's, you know what. Okay. Verse 6. And the Most High sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people. And much people of Israel died. Did y'all hear that? As we were getting this tabernacle together yesterday, and my eldest son saw that serpent, I said, you know what? We might let him go. But when that serpent got the side winding like this, you know, side winders get the side winding. That's how they move. They move like an S. They don't just slither like this. They get to slide winding like this. I said, you know what? We gonna see where it go, and we'll go from there. Well, that thing got to moving and moving and moving. At first it was hiding, and then it reared up on me. We got close up on it. It reared up on me, and I said, nah, son, I'm going to get my hoe, and let's dispatch this thing, because it was going toward the house at that point. And it was a little one. And I said, you know, we don't want it in no crevice if we could keep it from doing that. So I said, let me go on and dispatch it. And I dispatched it. Okay. Well, there's some interesting symbology about these serpents. As we read about this time when our people was asked to construct these tabernacles. At this time, many of our people just simply complaining so much. The Most High was like, you know what? Y'all going to get out my face, and I'm gonna send these serpents y'all way, and they gonna be poisonous, and they gonna bite the mess out of y'all, and a lot of y'all gonna die. Just period. Verse 7 then goes on to say, therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, and we have spoken against the Most High and against thee. Pray unto the Most High that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Most High said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, a venomous serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. Okay? So not only did Moses make a fiery serpent, but he made it out of brass. Not only did he make it out of brass, but the brass came to life and started biting folks who was chosen to live. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. It came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, oh, excuse me, my bad, y'all. That serpent of brass didn't come to life. My bad. Oh, my bad, y'all. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth. So that serpent of brass was like this. If a serpent bit somebody, right? Because there were so many serpents going around in the wilderness, all they had to do was look at the serpent of brass on the pole. Okay? And as soon as he beheld the serpent of brass on the pole, something supernatural happened where that person was healed. Now, these fiery serpents were sent among the Israelites during their journey through the wilderness, causing the death of many, right? But Moses was commanded, the term of fiery refers to the severe fiery inflammation caused by the bite of the venomous serpent. Moses was commanded by God to create a fiery serpent made of brass and place it upon a pole. Brass is a symbol of sin, judged by God, as well as self judgment. Therefore, if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. The snake represented evil and destruction, but also healing and creativity. The symbol of the healing snake is still preserved in the medical possession or the medical world right now, which shows the snake intertwined about the wand of Mercury. Okay? Exodus chapter 27, verse 7 states, thank you, Most. I'll turn right to it. Exodus chapter 27, verse 7 states, and the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the two sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shalt thou make it, as it was showed thee in the mount, so shall they make it. This is talking about the altar of the burnt offerings. Let me go to verse 5 or verse 6. No, we'll go to verse 4. And thou shalt make for it a grate of network of brass, and upon the net shalt thou make four brazen rings in the four corners thereof, and thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. Verse 7 now. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the two sides of the altar to bear it. And so that was an altar of burnt offering. Burnt offerings were the places where we conducted our sacrifices, a place to sacrifice, to burn them up to the Most High, and in an attempt to get the Most High to accept our sin offering. Okay, so look, what do we take from this? What I've taken from it is that as long as we live in our calling and our purpose, we will be blessed. As long as we live in our calling and our purpose, no matter how long it takes to get to our promised land, our destination of that calling, we will be blessed and we will be covered. As long as we live in the calling and the purpose of our calling, and we remember that the Most High is the one who called us, we don't have to complain, we don't have to worry, and we don't have to be reluctant in moving forward. But, and in doing that, those who make themselves our enemies will regret becoming our enemies, because now the tables will have turned. They will see the blessings that they would have missed out on from not keeping us around and being kind and generous to us, but they will also be realizing that they are not the blessed they actually thought they were while they were oppressing us. If we don't honor the calling and purpose over our lives, and we complain and we ridicule the Most High, and we fail to observe the Most High's guidance and leadership and take it for granted in our lives, then the enemy will feel justified in what it's doing, just like we see the enemy feeling justified in most of our lives today. We are still in captivity, seeking to now be brought out of that captivity, and the enemy will feel like he or she is doing the right thing, like he or she is going to be rewarded and blessed for doing what he or she is doing in order to keep us down and to keep us from rising up. What I've also learned is that each captivity has its own special nuances that the children of Israel went through. It has been reconfirmed that all captivities, there were Gentile nations who were watching this, and there were Israelites who didn't want to be in captivity, but were forced into captivity due to the error of the ways of all of Israelite people. I also learned that when one of us get it, we all get it. When one of us seems to go a way that we shouldn't go, we all seem to go the way that we shouldn't go. And because of it, we get punished. We get ostracized. We get placed at the lowest totem pole rung, at the lowest rung of society. Things happen to us that are very difficult to bear. Things take place in our lives that we just don't like. Yeah, rightfully so. This is what happens when you turn your back to the Most High. So I hope, I truly, truly hope that this first day of the Feast of Tabernacles serves as a reminder that subsequent days coming forth, the next series of days, we must truly do our best to dig deep into the laws, statutes, and commands of the Most High and search through them and study them and do what we can in order to honor them. Okay? 'Cause this is what it's all about: rejuvenation, renewing our minds to the things of the Most High. We claim to love the Most High, but if we aren't keeping the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High, then how could we love the Most High? I know a lot of us want to do what we want to do, and we just want to ignore what the Most High got going on. I mean, look, I just released an album, right? I just released this album, and to me, the album is totally amazing. I just released this album, and I was totally blessed to do so. Oh, it was a blessing to be able to release this album. And if I'm not careful, a part of it can be very self-serving. A part of it can say, "Oh, everybody that heard it has commented positively on it," and I can let that fill up my head. I spoke on this briefly yesterday, where I could rest on my laurels, and I spent what's 22 and a half hours working on this album, tightening it up and finishing it up, and doing things that I needed to do to make sure it was ready, right? And only got an hour and a half of sleep, and man, I'm too tired to get up and do anything now for the Most High. I'm too tired to get up and want to be up here trying to find some wood to build a tabernacle that I ain't never built before. That's too much thinking. Ah, I don't want to do that. Ah, Instead, I knew in my heart, y'all, if I was blessed to do that and to push that book out and to push that music out like that, and to be blessed with this land and to be removed from the place that I was in the city, in the inner city, a month or two outside of a police killing right on my very block, y'all. A young brother got smoked by the sheriff right on the very place that I would, if I didn't leave, be delivering this study right now. I'm like, this is all a blessing and a sign. So I must do my best. Even though I've never built a booth in a tabernacle, I must do my best to guide my boys into that mindset and guide myself into honor and to fulfill to the best of my ability this high and holy feast day. because it's to be a remembrance of just how many generations we've been brought to this place right now where we're crying out and turning our face back to the Most High and asking for that forgiveness, asking for that mercy. Please hear us, O Most High. Please have your mercy and tender mercy and loving kindness on us. Please be long suffering toward us. Please continue to stretch out your everlasting arm to us. Please keep a hedge of protection around us. Please wake us up in our minds and our hearts. Please lead us to cause us to want to do those things that please you in the place of our captivity so we might be made to begin to hold ourselves accountable for the wrong we have committed as a people and turn our erroneous ways back to those ways that please you, that you have established with our forefathers and foremothers. Please help us. Please wake us up. Please remove us from the place of our captivity and place us back into the protective and loving borders that you established for us way back in the days of our forefathers and foremothers. Oh, please extend your loving kindness to us one more time. So this is where we are as a people now, for the most part. And yeah, I say it joyfully. I say it happily because we have an opportunity to be great again. You got Donald Trump running around here talking about make America great again. I say make Hebrew Israelites great again. I say make an Israelite great again. You know what I mean? I say make us great again. Because when we're great, you want to know something about us? When we're great, the rest of the world is great. When we are great, we inspire everybody to be like us. When we are great and we make the greatest music on earth, the rest of the world wants to copy. Hip hop is the leading genre on earth right now, and that is why it has been demonized by those who are in control of signing the checks to pay the artists who they hire to make the present day hip hop. You think they want a genre made by Hebrew Israelites to be the top form of music on earth right now when they country, with our country and our rock and roll that was in our blues that was taken from us and we didn't know it? We said, man, forget it. We just create a new genre. And now we created a new genre they laughed at and didn't think would be as popular as it is, and now it's the number one leading genre on earth. You think they want a bunch of Negroes running that? You think they want a bunch of Negroes to have the influence over the world to get right? Like what was going on in the 80s? Politicizing the music, waking up our hoods, waking up our folks. Then they introduced that NWA to us, gangsters with an attitude. And now all of a sudden everybody want to be hood. Everybody want to be a thug. Everybody want to be gangster. Everybody want to be a slider, a rider, a shooter, a booter. Everybody want to do something negative and low vibratory. Oh, 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 oh. They got the influence now, don't they? Imagine what we was doing in the 80s carrying right now into the year 2020 with the influence we would have had. Even the lowest underground artists would have been influencing the world in a huge way. So everything we do, when we do it great, we do it great, and it makes the enemy afraid. It makes the enemy afraid because the enemy, what can the enemy do when we're at our greatest and we're operating on all cylinders the way we're supposed to? The enemy gonna flee. The wicked flee when none pursue. We could be doing what we doing, and the enemy gonna go hide in the corner, just like that little snake was trying to run and hide from us yesterday. We was just doing what we was doing, attempting to be great for the Most High. And that snake, that little slithery thing, that little slippery serpent, it was running around. It was trying to hide. It was doing everything it could to get away from us. And that's what the enemy is going to do when you live in your purpose. The enemy is always going to be slithering and trying to slide. But when you living in your purpose, oh my goodness, the enemy is just frightened and scared because the enemy know, oh, that's one more I ain't going to be able to get with. Oh, that's one more I ain't going to be able to change minds on. Nobody gonna change my mind yesterday as far as building this here tabernacle and booth is concerned. You see what I'm saying? I knew. How was I gonna be blessed into the future if I didn't do something in honor that the Most High told me to do? Already told me to use my gifts and talents to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Already told me to use every tool that I have to the benefit of His kingdom. But now I got to go even farther. We got to go farther. It's a sacrifice y'all are making right now by spending time with me on this live stream. It's a sacrifice. You could be watching whatever time it is. I don't know what time it is where you at, but you could be watching the Maury Show. You could be watching Jerry Springer. You could be watching Harpo. You could be watching Ellen DeGeneres, whatever's on these days. You could be watching Love and Hip Hop, basketball wise, whatever. He said, you know what? I think I better go on to Brother True Juice channel, and I think I better see what he talking about. I think I better put BET down for a minute and see if I could join him. I know I'm not on the land physically with him, but hey, we here in spirit. He got this live stream going. He got the tabernacle up. He got the booth up. We seen him put it up with his boys yesterday. Let's see what we can do. If we could go over some of this law, if we could be reminded of what it means to be children of the Most High, even while in our captivity. So we're going to do our best. And that's all we can do is our best. Okay? Listen, we're going to go on and conclude this live stream today. Most High, Most High willing, what we're going to do is go through the law. We're going to be reminded of more of the law, more of the statutes, and more of the commands. And we're going to get into it. We're going to really start breaking some stuff down. And we're going to realize that the reason it's so difficult for us to honor the law is because most of us are not within our own borders that the Most High has placed us in. This land behind me, I have the right to do whatever I want in it. I have the right to do whatever I want in it. And the kicker is, as I continue to move forward, more things will be disclosed as to how I do what I do. But it should be obvious to y'all right now that those things, those ordinances, those laws that dictate how I move in this land, in this border, this blessed sacred soil that I've been placed in, will be found right here in Torah. I don't have to do no new stuff unless it's modern 2022 thing that I want to include and that I want to, use to shake and rattle. As soon as I say that the sun peeks behind the clouds, oh my. So you see, as for me and my house, we just anymore. My ear pods just went out. Always, most of mama and papa will, and I'll be back with another one. Say the Hebrew, which is, I had to write it down. I ain't gonna front. We gonna say the Hebrew, which is how we say it. Shak Sukkot Sameach. Sukkot Sameach, which means happy Feast of Tabernacles. I love y'all to life. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Y'all make sure to keep on streaming all that good music. I hope that y'all love it more and more as you listen more closely to it. It's your brother True Jew tapping in with y'all the only way I know how, raw, real, and uncut. Let's see if there's any comments on this here thing. Thumbing up, and I thank y'all for rocking with me. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay blessed, gone.